Hi folks, Doc here. It's Sunday morning and it's kind of cool. It's probably about 34 or 35 degrees Fahrenheit for my American brothers and sisters out there. Little on the chilly side. If I whip you around, you can see frost on windows, like my wife's girlfriend's car here. Look at that. Oh man, frost on the hood, frost on the windows. I guess we got to come to terms with the fact that winter is coming. So, with that being said, this is today's mission. I've got this plow blade that I picked up last night to go on Mule 2. I thought about fabricating a plow blade and just ain't nobody got time for that, really. For the amount of work involved in doing it in a way that I would be happy with, this is not something that I'm going to throw together in, an hour or two. Got to be nice and strong. I got to be able to lay a beating on it. I've been telling everybody on the Facebook groups that I beat my shit like it owes me money. And I do. I want to be able to be tossing that snow around and smacking it into snowbanks and stuff without bending it and breaking it and just, So, that being said, this is our mission. Here's the profile of the blade, and as you can see, it's pretty well constructed. It's got some good ribbing and it's got some angle at the top. This was a factory blade, although I'm not sure the manufacturer. The blade itself is constructed of, I want to say 1/8 inch. I'll have to measure it out later. It is pretty heavy duty. The scrape edge kills me. That is beefy as hell. That's easily 5/8 thick at the thickest part. That edge is never gonna die. I like that. And it's got the feet on it, which is a good thing. I'm gonna have to replace the spring. There's no spring on this side. Come to think of it, there's no spring on the other side either. Maybe I'll put some rubber stops in there or something. Anyways, I got to deal with those. And it's got the big tilt spring so that when you smack it into a hard object, it'll flip instead of breaking something. And it's got the swivel mechanism. It's got this little handle here, and when you release that, you can swivel the blade and index it. I'm going to see if I can find a way to make that remote. Just attach some sort of handle to it that can be extended around the side of the hood or over the hood or something. So here's the harness here. This would attach to the frame of the ATV and served as its fixed mounting point. So it's got a couple of hooks back there, and up here it's got this pin, and that would quick release off the ATV frame. And you can see here the pin and the quick release mechanism, so the whole thing would swivel up and down on there, and it would quick release off there, so you could take the whole thing off the ATV with the yank of a pin. And I guess the release of a winch cable. I'm going to assume that this tab here was where the winch cable attached for raising and lowering. I'm going to do something a little different. So that being said, I have a few options here, and one of them is to adapt that harness to Mule 2's chassis and do the same thing where it quick releases on and off that harness. But I'm not sure I want to leave that harness on there. I'm just not sure yet. I'm going to have to take some time and stare at it and figure out what I figure is going to work out best for me. And then when it's all said and done, we've got to deal with getting the winch controls all together, because after the last day I was messing with this, that would have been the bumper install, I haven't touched it. Other than to drive it, of course. So, stay tuned. Okay, so while we're staring at this and figuring out how we're going to work it, the word of the day is definitely plows. We've got a larger plow here that we're going to try and work into use. Picked that up yesterday, same place, same price. Pretty cool. Gotta like it. Over here at the table, working on the wiring for said plow, is my good friend Aaron. Say hello, Aaron.
Hi, Aaron.
Perfect. Okay, quick little update as we go here. I've got that lower mounting bracket in place. I made a couple of uprights with the quick release pin there, and I've temporarily tacked that thing to the bumper. I'll get it welded in a little bit better later. And a couple of bolts that index into the hooks. And that's where we're at right now. Now, that brings us to lifting and lowering. And as you can see, let me just back this out a little bit. I've got the option, I've got a couple of options. I can put the cable right through that thing and lift and lower as it is, right through the fair lead. Not sure if that's going to make for the greatest lifting ability or not. We're going to give it a try. If I'm not happy with the cable pull angle, then I'll work it from there. I still have to do an upper bumper hoop. And if I get really desperate, I can put a pulley in that upper bumper hoop and have the cable come up and go back down again. But for now, that's where we're at, and I'll just kind of work with it and see where it goes. Okay, so after spending some time realigning things, I think I've got the bracketry about how I want it. I imagine that you can get a fairly good view from where I've got the camera right now. The lower bracket is there. This arm is pretty much level, which should mean that when I swivel the blade, it's not going to dig in on one corner or another. It should swivel more or less level. As you can see, this is pretty low to the ground. For snow removal, that should not be a problem. And for doing whatever else I'm doing when the blade's not on it, I can take the whole thing out just by pulling that pin and poof, it's gone. So that's no problem at all. I won't lose any ground clearance in the off season, so to speak. I still have to rig the electrics for the winch. Right now it's not connected, but I did run some booster cables out from the battery just so that I can, test lift it and see how it lifts. I'd say it lifts pretty damn good. So yeah, I've got this handle here that I can use to angle the blade to one side or another, and that should prove pretty handy. And again, I might see if in the future a remote mechanism, some sort of handle that I can do it from the driver's seat might be a good idea. I'm just not sure if I really need to, and I don't really want to go to the trouble right now. I just wanted to get this thing up and operational before the snow flies. And since the snow has not flown yet, mission accomplished. So I might use a little more time today to do an upper bumper hoop or something, and I really do have to get the electrics done on this thing. I'll probably do that first. Okay, so I've begun the wiring process. I've got the wires on the winch there temporarily. I still have to tighten them down, put the boots on, and I'm just yeah, I guess I'll just tuck the wires behind the hood joint there. And what I got to figure out is where exactly to mount the solenoid. I've got so much wire to attach to it, to the winch, and I've got the cables that go from the solenoid pack to the battery, and of course the battery is located in the battery compartment, or at least it normally is. And I've decided, interestingly enough, to at least temporarily, I'm going to try it with zip ties first, and then I'll try and screw it in or something on this freaky Browning shift handle that I've got on here. You can just, let me see if I can get a better angle on that, just make out the switch. And the idea here is I would like very much to be able to operate the switch with my hand on the shifter. So I've got one hand on the steering wheel, on the lover's ball there, as it were, and one hand on the shifter, and I should be able to raise and lower the blade without having to take my hand off anything, so I can go back and forth and steer and lift and lower and kind of try and keep it seamless. So I'm probably going to remove that plate that the battery sits on. I've got a little bit of space underneath, and mount the solenoid pack, and this is it here. Mount the solenoid pack underneath and wire everything up. That should be in a good enough location. I've got enough cable to get from where I got to go and blah. So once it's all mounted, this plug here plugs into the solenoid pack, and that's basically the switch unit right there. That's what actuates the solenoids, and then two to the battery and two to the winch. And then the last order of business is this little wire here, which gets wired through the ignition switch, so that the winch only operates with the ignition switched on. So there you go. I'm going to get moving on that, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so there you can see the solenoid pack in place underneath the battery tray. Obviously, I haven't pushed the rubber cover back down yet. You can also see that I've zip tied it in. Come springtime, when the weather's nice again, I'm going to blow this hell damn thing apart, and I'm going to do a bunch of rewiring like I did on the original mule with the fuse box and all that stuff. So for now, I've just decided, screw it, I'm going to zip tie the damn thing in, because I wasted a lot of time goofing off today and talking to a buddy of mine Aaron, who you met. So anyways, that's in there. That's mounted as far as mounted is going to get for now. The trigger wire goes to the key switch, so I'm going to stitch the whole thing back together again and make all the electrical connections to the battery. Okay, so there she is, set up, good to go. We can work on pretty later, and I can work on setting the exact height of the skid feet later. But for now, here she is. So I'll show you that pressing the switches doesn't do anything until you turn the key on, and then it do. So. Well, that about covers it for the plow blade install. Thanks for watching, thanks for sharing, thanks for subscribing. Till then, take care.